Anyway, he writes, Kevin, I've been listening to you for years. I've become fluent in reading between your information lines. When you know something, you don't always say it, but you say it, if you know what I mean. But I can't figure out why you need to dance around the Terry issue. At this point, hasn't it become obvious? His agent is the issue and has been all along. Thank you, Darren, for that. And say hello to your brother if this is the Darren that I think it is. So I know what you're saying. And yes, because reporting's not really my thing, when I do have things, it's often because it was presented in, an off the record or for background purposes or for me to be able to use to speak somewhat intelligently with more clarity on a certain situation. But I disagree. I think I've been pretty direct on this Terry thing all along in terms of what I've known. I mentioned the agent even before the Eastern Motors, War and Peace length press conference. And I have been more supportive of the way the team has handled this since the jump. But I have to say that my support of the team wasn't based on anything I knew from the jump. It was just, I don't know. And maybe I'll turn out to be wrong because I was dead wrong on Terry getting a deal before training camp. That's for sure. But it was more, connecting the dots, making sense of what, I think makes sense, if that makes sense. But now, look, bottom line now, certainly have talked to various people over the last week and a half. And I think I've been adamant on this. I think the team is nearing very much kind of a breaking point. I think they have had it with Team Terry. And if Team Terry doesn't get a clue and get a sense of reality soon, they're going to leave $50 million on the table. And I am at that point when that gets left and is pulled and is no longer an option. I will certainly in that moment, always, open to a different version of it when we look back on it historically, if there's more information. But I will definitely think that in that moment, Terry made a massive mistake by listening to his agent and by not taking control of the situation as the player. He's the customer in that relationship. He does not have to do what his agent tells him to do if he totally disagrees with it. Yeah, I think if you want me to be, super succinct and to the point and direct, I think the team is nearing its breaking point. As I said yesterday, I thought it was pretty clear. Terry's very close to being treated as a holdout, no longer a hold-in. And we'll see what happens and what develops during the course of the week. But he is nearing that line of no return to a $50 million or whatever that number actually is, somewhere in that range, guaranteed, opportunity to put into his bank account. And I think if that does happen and he ends up playing this final year on his existing deal, he'll look back on it and view it as a massive mistake. Massive mistake. It just doesn't make any sense for a player like Terry. Okay, this isn't Jerry Rice. Somebody sent me something. I got to find it. Somebody sent me something that says, oh, well, Jerry Rice and Marvin Harrison got big deals after they were 30. Jerry Rice and Marvin Harrison, just like with Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams. We're not talking, that's apples and oranges. Terry's not those players. Even the most ardent and fanatical Terry McLaurin fans would never put him into that category. But his agent might put him into that category. But yeah, this is an opportunity that hopefully for him, he doesn't look back 2-3 years down the road and see it as a massive mistake. Because again, there's nobody in their right mind that knows what's going on from an agent side, a player side, a team side, a fan side, a media side that would say the chances of him getting what he wants next year are much greater or even equal to the chances he has of getting less, but still a lot now. Not going to happen, entering his age 31 season. Can't see it happening anyway. This from Thomas. Thomas writes, Kevin, what makes you so sure that Jaden Daniels is going to have a better sophomore year? I love when we put NFL terms in terms of freshmen and sophomores. We rarely get to junior and senior years. That's just year 3 and year 4. What makes you so convinced that Jaden Daniels is going to have a better sophomore year than his rookie season? CJ Stroud would be an example of step back. This has been a tiring subject during the off season. But off of the one play on Monday night, it just reminded, I think everybody certainly reminded me, oh my God, we have a quarterback. We have an elite level quarterback. And I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but nobody says about Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. And to me, that's the class that he's in. I do believe that. And that's why I don't see a sophomore slump season coming. But I don't see anybody ever saying about those guys, yeah, lots of comebacks, great year, but they can't duplicate it. That was Mahomes after his rookie year. That was Josh Allen after the first year starting. Lamar the same. Statistically, maybe it won't look like what it looked like last year. It's possible it'll look as good, but different. Maybe a lot more passing yards, maybe less rushing yards, maybe more touchdowns throwing than he had touchdowns running or and less touchdowns running. I don't know what it'll look like. I just don't see a player with not only the flaws that might indicate a step back season, but any sort of questions about the intangible stuff that would lead to a step back season. Like, yeah, he got a little bit full of himself. Seems to be, really enjoying that rookie of the year season that fell a game short of the Super Bowl. Still some questions about his maturity, still some questions about his work ethic. There's none of that. None of that. It's the opposite of that. People are constantly offering up what a pro he is, how mature he is, how he's taking a next step in terms of leadership, more vocal leadership, booting the player out of the huddle a few weeks ago in camp. I just don't see it. I don't see the case you could make for a step back season. Now, if you want to say no Terry, I would say, but why would you say no Terry? He's under contract, repetitive, pain in the ass, constantly repeating this. But he's going to play. He has to play. Somebody mentioned to me the other day, you keep saying he has to play, and you keep saying that they're clueless and they're delusional as to what their worth is. They may be clueless and delusional as to what a holdout would cost them. That's fair. That's true. I doubt that that's the case, though. It'd be really hard for the agent to say holding out would be the best thing for you at 30 years old when, the tide is turned in terms of the way people view this thing. Maybe they don't see it that way. Sometimes when you're inside it, you don't see what people see from the outside. But how could you make the case other than to say, man, you're so good, the team's going to fall apart without you out there, and they're going to come back begging for you to play week 3 against the Raiders with the DK Metcalf deal, with, or better than the Metcalf deal and guaranteed money. $75 million guaranteed, $33 million a year, 4-year deal, most of it guaranteed. Yeah, they're going to come begging. That's that is the one plausible scenario that you get a holdout. If they are so delusional that they are looking at that as less than a long shot, less than an inside straight. and they try to play that hand. You know, first of all, even if the team wasn't as successful offensively without him, like it was so noticeable and it cost them, against the Giants and the Packers, and they're 0-2. I still don't think that this team's going to budge and cave to what Terry wants. I don't see that happening. I think they think it's wrong that it was, that they are just so far off, as others have reported clearly.